My name is Brendan Barato. I go as ShadowGear6335 online, been around for about a decade, and I've made this model here called Tempest. It is over 28 inches tall, took me about 6 months to build, and weighs about 15 pounds in total, rounding up a little bit. But the main impetus of it is that it's just a giant mech for all of my smaller characters here on the table. For scale in particular, here is a smaller dude that represents that larger one that is right there. So it's meant to be just a giant spaceship that turns into a giant robot based off of like anime or video games or something along those lines. It's a passion project for me. I've always wanted to make something this large, and I really love how it came out. Also has a ship mode that I have not finished yet, but it's along the way. There's jointing, there's gearing for it in particular that really can make it work.
Yeah. Very impressive. I love how the build came together. Take us through kind of the joints, like the arms and the legs, and kind of how all that works.
Yeah, totally. So the only thing that's really ball jointed are the ankles in particular that uses pistons and one single like really strong ball joint. Otherwise, it's really like gearing. So here in the shoulders, the elbows, and the waist, it's all using worm gears. So you actually need to turn gears in order for it to make the joints work and spin. In the hips and the knees, it uses heavy frictioned gear joints. So it uses ball joints, pistons, whatever. But in the knees in particular, there are pins here in the back that lock the knees for whenever it stands and whenever it transforms. But yeah, it's stable enough. It totally works. The only freestanding joints that you can move freehand are the head in particular, which goes up and down and a side to side. Hands here in particular, they have a wrist joint and also articulated fingers, which just fell out, of course, as a standard for my practice. But yeah, also articulated hands, also really cool. And again, freestanding are the ankles here, which I'm not going to move because this dude is super heavy and I don't want to mess around with it. But yeah, he's stable in terms of the jointing. That was one of the major things. I wanted to avoid using ratchet joints in particular because if you were to click them, it's going to shake the entire thing. And so I wanted to use very smooth motions in order for this dude to not only transform, but just to pose in general.
Yeah. Okay, very impressive. Does this thing stay together pretty well, pretty strong as you display it and everything? Not a lot of falling apart?
Yeah, I'm going to do the not patent pended baby shake test.
Dude, no, you gotta shake harder. You gotta be like,
He's head bobbing. He's doing he's on a good time. But yeah, he's stable. There are definitely some parts on him system related that kind of like falls off if you mess with it too much. But the main skeleton is 100% Technic, and it stays together really, really well. Again, there are parts like there's a bit right here that can totally come off if you pull it the wrong way. But the main build of this thing, like structurally, is super solid. Again, like the decoration system stuff does kind of mess with that a little bit.
How'd you decide on this color scheme, kind of the green and gray there?
So, not to get a little bit weird, but it's character related. So it's like a form thing. So you have this guy who is Guardian, who is the first form. Like ends up piloting this. This is like a spacesuit for an alien who is this guy, who is they're the same character. And like that's his actual like alien form, and then he possesses the giant robot and makes the giant robot. So as a callback to this original form, I want to go up to this, kind of similar to most cartoons or like Digimon, where it's like you have different forms leading up to this. So I mean, there's some differences. Like this uses a lot of dark green and less mono green, not mono green, just green in general. But then I wanted to do the inverse here, where I have a lot more green and a little bit less dark green. There's some patches here and there with it, but yeah, I like the color scheme. I think it looks cool. I mean, black gray and dark gray, I think is not generic, but I feel like it totally works with something this large, especially, you know, if you're lacking on parts, you need to try to fill in some of those gaps with colors. But I think bright green in particular is a nice punch to get people's attention and make this really stand out from other mechas that you see.
Definitely, and I noticed you have lights in the head there as well?
Yeah, I would be happy to show that off in particular. So get ready for this. I'm going to pull the head off, and we're going to open this up, and that is just pinned right in there. And there are lights inside here. For the transformation, it's supposed to, there's like this back part here forms the back of the ship. And so with this, you can just turn this little thing here. It's just a little thing from a craft store. You just put the lights in there. You can turn it off, turn it on. And there's two lights here for the eyes when you look at it that way, and then two here for the bottom. You can't see it that well during the convention because there are very bright lights in the convention. But if you were to look at it closely, you can definitely tell there's a little hint of lights in there.
Yeah.
It's a nice effect.
I like that, kind of the added effects there with the lighting. Very cool. Well, I think the whole build turned out really great, and I appreciate you bringing it to BrickFair and chatting with me about it. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have a good con.